I never believed in ghosts until the day I saw my reflection vanish. Let that sink in for a moment. Not fade, not blur, vanish. 1 second, I was standing there staring at myself in the mirror, and the next, there was nothing but an empty bathroom behind me. My jaw dropped, but no sound came out. It wasn't shock. It felt more like disbelief. Like reality itself had glitched. It started 2 weeks ago when I woke up to find my phone buzzing on a nightstand. A text message blinked on the screen. "You're running out of time." No name, no number, just those 6 words glaring back at me. At first, I thought it was some prank or spam. But then it happened again, and again. Each time, the messages grew stranger, more urgent. "They know you're still here. You shouldn't have stayed." I tried tracing the number, deleting the texts, even getting a new SIM card. Nothing worked. The messages kept coming, as if they were sent directly into my phone's soul rather than its circuits. But that wasn't the worst part. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something was off? Not because anything looked different, but because everything felt wrong. That's how I began feeling everywhere I went. Grocery stores, coffee shops, even my own apartment. People would glance at me, then quickly look away, their eyes darting like they'd seen something unnatural. Strangers avoided sitting near me on buses. Cashiers handed me receipts without making eye contact. At work, things got worse. Colleagues whispered when I passed by, though they stopped whenever I turned around. When I asked what was going on, they acted confused, as if they didn't understand why I'd think anything was wrong. "Are you okay?" one coworker asked cautiously, tilting her head like she genuinely pitied me. "You seem stressed lately." Stressed? Sure. Paranoid? Definitely. But none of that explained why my boss called me in his office later that week to tell me I'd been fired for missing shifts I swore I hadn't missed, or why HR claimed they had no record of me ever being employed there. And yet, here's the thing. I could feel myself unraveling, but I couldn't explain it. Every piece of evidence pointed to one horrifying conclusion. I was disappearing. Not physically, not yet, but somewhere between who I was and who everyone else thought I was fading away. Then came the photographs. I found them tucked inside an old shoebox in my closet while searching for proof of my existence. Dozens of Polaroids, all dated years before I was born. They showed a man who looked exactly like me, but wasn't me. Same face, same build, same crooked smile. He wore clothes I didn't recognize and stood in places I'd never been. In one photo, he held a child, a little girl with wide eyes and curly hair. Her expression froze my blood. She looked terrified. Who was this man? And why did he look so much like me? The deeper I dug, the more questions I uncovered. Birth certificates, school records, even social security numbers, all pointing to someone named Daniel Harper, a man who supposedly died in 1987. Except, according to these documents, Daniel Harper was me. Every detail matched. Height, weight, birth date. Even the scar above my left eyebrow appeared in black and white photos taken decades ago. Was I losing my mind? Or had I somehow inherited another person's life? One night, unable to sleep, I decided to visit the address listed on Daniel Harper's driver's license. It led me to a crumbling Victorian house on the outskirts of town, surrounded by overgrown weeds and broken fences. The air smelled faintly of earth and decay. As I approached the porch, the wooden steps groaned beneath my weight, each creak echoing like a warning. Inside, the house was frozen in time. Dust-covered furniture sat untouched. Magazines lay scattered across the floor, and a rotary phone hung silently on the wall. Everything felt abandoned, but not empty. Something lingered here, watching, waiting. In the study, I found a journal. Its pages were filled with frantic handwriting, detailing experiments involving time loops, memory manipulation, and something called temporal erasure. According to the entries, Daniel Harper hadn't died in 1987. He'd erased himself, voluntarily, to escape something, or someone, he refused to name. He knows, the final entry read, "He's coming for me. If you're reading this, it means I've already failed. Run. Don't let him find you." Before I could process what I just read, the lights flickered, then went out completely. When the lights went out, I froze. My breath hitched in my throat as the darkness pressed against me like a living thing. Somewhere upstairs, floorboards creaked, slowly, deliberately. Whoever or whatever it wasn't trying to hide. I grabbed the journal and bolted for the door, but it slammed shut before I could reach it. Not with a bang, but with an unnatural thud, as if the house itself had decided I wasn't leaving. Panic surged through me, and I stumbled backward, fumbling for my phone to use its flashlight. The beam cut through the blackness just in time to catch movement, a shadow shifting at the edge of the room. "Who's there?" My voice cracked under the weight of fear. No answer came, only the sound of slow, steady footsteps descending the staircase behind me. I turned toward the noise, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth. And then I saw him. He looked exactly like me, or rather, how I imagined Daniel Harper might have looked before he erased himself. Same face, same build, same haunted eyes. But there was something wrong. His features were fractured, almost translucent, like he existed halfway between worlds. He smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It was predatory. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, his voice echoing unnaturally, as though it belonged to more than one person. "You've already made too many mistakes." "What are you talking about?" I demanded, clutching the journal tighter. "Who are you?" His smile widened, revealing rows of jagged teeth that shouldn't have fit inside a human mouth. "I'm you," he whispered. "Or I was. Until they found me." "They?" Before I could ask what he meant, the room shifted around us. Walls stretched impossibly tall, floors tilted at impossible angles, and shadows writhed like living creatures. The house wasn't real anymore. It was a construct, a prison built by forces far beyond my understanding. And now I was trapped inside it with myself. The other version of me, the fractured one, began circling me like a predator sizing up its prey. "You don't remember them, do you?" he asked, his tone dripping with pity. "The Watchers, the ones who exist outside of time. They see everything, know everything. They chose you before you were even born. Or maybe they created you." My mind raced, trying to make sense of his words. Watchers, outside of time, none of it made sense. Yet part of me felt like I'd always known. Deep down, buried beneath layers of denial and confusion, I'd suspected something like this was true. That's why the messages kept coming. That's why people avoided me. That's why my reflection disappeared. "They gave you a choice once," he continued, stopping inches away from me. "To erase yourself or be erased. You picked the easy way out. But now," he leaned closer, his breath cold against my skin, "they're giving you another chance. What happens if I say no?" I managed to choke out, though I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the answer. His grin turned cruel. "Then they'll take everything. Your memories, your identity, your very existence. You won't just fade, you'll cease to have ever been." The next few moments passed in a blur. I don't remember running, but somehow I ended up back outside, clutching the journal like a lifeline. The house loomed behind me, its windows dark and empty. For a moment, I thought I'd escaped. Then I heard his laughter, soft, distant, but unmistakably triumphant. Back home, I pored over the journal again, searching for answers. One passage stood out, written in shaky handwriting near the end. "If you can read this, it means you've been chosen again. Don't trust your instincts, they're not your own. Find the girl. She's the key. The girl, the one from the photograph." Suddenly, she wasn't just a faceless child anymore. She was hope. A way out. Tracking her down wasn't easy. The photo was old, undated, and lacked any identifying information. But after days of obsessively combing through archives and databases, I found her name, Emily Carter. She was listed as missing since 1986. And then I realized something terrifying. She didn't age. According to public records, Emily reappeared in the early 2000s as a teenager, despite having vanished nearly 2 decades earlier. Her case file contained inconsistencies, details that didn't add up, timelines that clashed. Witnesses claimed she looked the same now as she did when she disappeared. Some even swore she hadn't aged a day. I finally tracked her to a small town in Oregon, where she lived alone in a modest apartment. When I knocked on her door, she opened it cautiously, her wide eyes locking onto mine. For a split second, I thought she recognized me, but then her expression shifted, becoming guarded. "I've been waiting for you," she said softly, stepping aside to let me in. Her voice carried a strange mixture of resignation and relief. Inside, the walls were covered in drawings, dozens of them, all depicting spirals. just like the ones Daniel Harper used to sketch in his journal. Spirals surrounding houses, spirals encircling faces, spirals twisting into infinity. "They told me you'd come eventually," she said, gesturing for me to sit. "They said you need my help." "Help with what?" I asked, my pulse quickening. She hesitated, then reached into a drawer and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Unfolding it, she revealed a crude drawing of two figures standing side by side, one whole, one fractured. Beneath it were 3 words scrawled in childish handwriting. "Fix the loop." As she explained, pieces began falling into place. Emily wasn't just a victim of the Watchers. She was their creation, a fragment of reality designed to anchor me, to keep me tethered while they unraveled my timeline. Without her, I would have disappeared completely long ago. But fixing the loop meant making a choice. A final one. "You can stay," she said, her voice trembling. "Live out your life, knowing you'll never truly belong. Or you can go back, undo everything, start over. Go back. To where? To when?" Before I could ask, she handed me a pocket watch engraved with intricate spiral patterns. Its hand spun wildly, defying logic. "This will take you there," she whispered. "But once you leave, you won't remember any of this. You'll wake up somewhere else, someone else. Is that what you want?" I held the watch in my hand, weighing my options. Stay and fight a battle I barely understood, or start fresh, erasing myself entirely. In the end, I chose neither. Instead, I smashed the watch against the floor, shattering it into 1,000 glittering pieces. Time froze. The room dissolved into light, and for the first time in weeks, I felt free. When I woke up, I was sitting in front of a mirror. My reflection stared back at me, solid and unbroken. Everything seemed normal. Too normal. Except for one thing. On the counter beside me lay a single Polaroid photograph. In it, a man who looked exactly like me stood next to a little girl with wide eyes and curly hair. Beneath the image, written in familiar handwriting, were 4 chilling words. "Don't trust the spiral.